All right. So we are back. As always, I'm that other dude, Andrew, and I'm joined by Heather.
Hello.
We are here to bring you music and mirth and possibly mayhem and maybe a couple of other words that begin with the letter M. But yeah, it's good to be back. This is the second episode we're doing of the new year of 2022. And I am wearing our shirt from our the new shirt. If you will it, it is no dream. And then there's the two of us as Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
and
that's kind of the mantra. If you will it, it is no dream.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That of course was said by Walter Sobchak, who was quoting Theodore Herzl about the creation of the State of Israel. But obviously, Heather and I just love pretty much everything Walter Sobchak does in The Big Lebowski. So
yeah,
and like you said, that was like the fitting, mantra for the show. If you, it is no dream. So we are here today to talk to you about a couple things. We're going to kick things off with a band called Green Druid. We have 2 albums to pick from. I think we're going to do 7 songs. And then after that, we are going to discuss singles from Weyland, Ytani, and another band, Gods for a Day. And then we will end things with cover songs, heavy metal cover songs that Heather and I both enjoy. So if you're ready, let's dive right into some Green Druid.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, so we're going to kick things off with Ashen Blood, which I believe came out in 2018.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And the first track, Pale Blood Sky.
Pale Blood Sky. This is heavy doom with haunting vocals. It has an atmospheric feel to it. This is the kind of music that I really love. This is the first song, and when I first heard it, I knew I was in for something great.
Yeah, I mean, this so far, since we've been doing this new format, all of your picks have been dynamite. So going into this, and I believe I'd heard Green Druid along the way, just doing like a YouTube deep dive. But coming into it, I was like, well, if Heather picked this, it's going to be dynamite. And yeah, it kicks things off, Pale Blood Sky. I said it reminded me a little bit of the opening to In Utero by Nirvana, where there's this like one dissonant sort of sound before it goes in. It was like a horn. This one sounded more like a horn. And then it just jumps right into a solid riff. And I said, it's what you want your riff to be. Like if you're out there riff shopping and you're looking for riffs, this is what you want. I said it was thick and slow like molasses, and it was melodic. And then it gets more complex. Then it fades to what sounds like just bass and operatic vocals. Then the riff, it's sort of like a quiet, loud format. And then I said dynamite harmonizing vocals with the melody. I think if you're playing a game right now where I have to say the word dynamite, you've probably done like 7 shots. And then I said, then there's a different breakdown into a noodly riff, where they're just like noodling. So with a new phrase, a noodly riff. Then it returns to the original, and then it gets more psychedelic and spacey at the end, which I liked. So a lot of things to unpack. And then I asked to have Cursed Blood, which was the next track.
Yeah, Cursed Blood, it opens with guitar, and then the bass and the drums come in, and it progressively gets heavier and heavier. This song is an experience. The vocals sound like they're coming from another dimension, and even the guitar, it sounds otherworldly.
Yeah, outer and other, both.
Yeah.
It's worldly. Yeah, Cursed Blood. The first thing I noticed was it's 18 minutes long. And as you mentioned, it opens up with a solid sort of acoustic riff, and there's a slow build into more of a meandering riff that seemed like they were coloring just outside the lines. Like they would have notes and they would bend it to make it work within the framework of the song. Like they weren't playing incorrect notes, but it was like just on the cusp of being dissonant, if that makes sense. And I said, yeah, they're forging the sound to make it, as Frankie Wilde said in All Gone Pete Tong, a lyrical smelter. They've got a lyrical smelter. And then I said, nope, no lyrics for practically the first 5 minutes. And one thing that I noticed was a lot of times with metal, you can have sort of like an inward repetition, like, Dope Smoker by Sleep is like 60 minutes of the same riff, where it's just focusing on the riff. And other times, a lot of time with like progressive metal, you're going outward where it's more like jazz. It sounds more like jazz improvisation. So I felt like with this one, they were going outward more than inward, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. And then that's followed up by 2 more tracks you had selected, Rebirth.
Yeah, Rebirth, the tone on this is so low, and it has such a cool groove to it. Towards the end of the song, the guitarist goes off with these insane riffs, and it's like a master class in guitar shredding. The song is an earworm, and you may find yourself humming along to it throughout the day.
There you go. So with caution, listen to the song with caution, because it may get stuck in your head. And I'm not a doctor, nor do I play one on TV, but my brother's a doctor. So I guess that has to count for something. So yeah, I said Rebirth was a little faster of a tempo with some wah-wah guitar, incorporating what sounded like different styles of playing. Like at one point, it almost sounded like a mandolin in a way. But yeah, that's what I had for Rebirth. And then we're going to end with Ritual Sacrifice.
Yeah, Ritual Sacrifice. And this, the lyrics in this, figures cloaked in black and green circle around me, their faces unseen. They've got me tied down to the stone, their knives cut to the bone. This music, like the feel, like with the lyrics and then the way the music feels, it feels scary when you listen to it, and you can feel the fear and the dread. And I just think it's absolutely incredible that they can make you feel that in the way that they play, and it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, sonically, it very much is like the lyrics. I mean, it fits really well. I said this one at the beginning was sort of the sludgiest of the songs. Reminded me a little bit of some Melvins. Just the opening with the first 2 chord changes, and then it gets much more doomy. And I said the last few songs have had operatic vocals with some sort of thing which makes the voice sound like it's more like they're using a megaphone. It's not there's some kind, if I was more astute with music, I could probably say, oh yeah, they're using a blank blank or whatever. But yeah, to me as a layperson, it sounds like a megaphone.
Yeah, like they have it going through something to make the vocals sound how they do.
Yeah. Right now, there's probably people who know exactly what it is and they're rolling their eyes at my ignorance. But so be it. That's part of the fun. And then we've got Maw of Ruin, which I think came out in 2020.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And we've got The End of Men.
Yeah. I love the guitar tone in this. The vocals on this album are much more clear, and there's a mixture of clean and harsh vocals. I don't listen to a lot of music with harsh vocals, but I feel that they fit. The harsh vocals express the anger and the frustration that like you have inside of you that just needs to come out. It's like they emote that. And I think, you know, especially the anger, when it goes into the harsh vocals, I can feel that. And it's just the expression of it. It makes a lot of sense to me. And, the way that it makes you feel. And actually trying to get all that emotion out is probably really good for you and makes you feel better.
Sure. That's by the way, to let the listener know, I'm going to be going back to school soon. So while I'm not going to drop the ball with this program, my ability to come up with great words like noodly I may have to pump the brakes a little bit. But yeah, no, I agree with you. And they reminded me because I'm going back to school for a clinical mental health counseling degree. So hopefully we'll have a class in which they say, heavy metal is a great way to emote, with anger in a productive manner rather than a negative, you know. Yeah, I felt the same. I said great riffing and playing, different sounding operatic vocals this time. And then the vocals get harsh. So it's different. You can tell it's the same band, certainly, but the different vocal stylings. And then I really like the harmonizing. There's some harmonizing vocals. I said it's a great blend of something so light and so harsh.
Yeah.
And then we've got Haunted Memories.
Yeah. I was listening to this album in my car and I was thinking to myself, oh, I really like this song. And then, I kept listening and I'm like, oh, I really like this song too. And then it turns out it was the same song. This song has everything. When it gets to where it says, I can't escape myself, this horror grows from within. I see everything. I feel everything writhing under the skin. And I can just relate to that, so much.
Yeah, the beauty of listening to this music is you have a cathartic experience and you can certainly identify with a lot of the lyrics and the sound. Yeah, I said they were back to forging the sound, the same sort of incorporating of a quiet, loud format, but of a different flavor. I have no idea what that means. And then another section, which is like getting hit in the head with a pillowcase full of marshmallows and rusty nails, but it's a good thing. I said, yeah. So if you can imagine that being a good thing, then it's a good thing. It's meant to be a good thing. And then we're gonna end with A Throne Abandoned.
Yeah. And this was one of my favorite albums of 2020. And this song is a good demonstration of why. It captures the atmospheric, the mystical, the psychedelic elements of the music. And then there's also the heaviness, the heavy doom, the low guitars, the crashing drums, the powerful vocals. And I can't wait to hear what comes next from this band.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you. I'm, as with Slow Green Thing, I am a fan of Green. I hadn't really heard them. Like I said, I may have heard them in passing, but now that we've done this deep dive, I'm gonna just start looking for bands with green in their title because that seems to be a winning formula. But
Yeah.
yeah, for Throne Abandoned, I said clearly the same band, but each song is different. It's not like they're churning out some sort of formula here. Like there are elements to each song that I really enjoy, but I never feel like I'm listening to the same song. Um, and then I wrote, I've never heard lyrics about death and decomposition, which sounds so beautiful, beautifully sung. And more of the great harmonizing vocals. So again,
Yeah.
you've picked a phenomenal band for us to investigate.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. So next up, we've got Weyland Ytani and 10 Forward featuring Eleonora. So for Weyland Ytani, this was an album that he'd put out either last year or 2 years ago, and then started adding songs to it for like a re-release. So I know it's the album Escape from Planet X, I think is sort of like a space opera with a story. I think there is a cartoon, or not a comic book with it. Um, so I think this is part of a piece of a larger thing. But the song I listened to was Through the Black Hole, and I said it was sort of like electronic dance music with some industrial metal, something my friend Patrick would really enjoy since that's what he's into. Um, and then I said it sort of shifts into a haunting synthesizer, like something in a movie or a comic. I feel like this song would play when someone needs to fix something, like the guy needs to put on the suit and go out into orbit and like do some sort of dangerous thing while using a wrench and a screwdriver as debris is probably flying at him. That's what I felt. Um, but yeah, and then there's some spoken vocals describing a black hole, and then the song changes. The song changes drastically into a more of a rock song with a haunting keyboard and then a dance beat, and then it ends with static. So
Yeah. Yeah, it starts off electronic with some spoken word, and then it flows into guitar and piano and with electronics mixed in. So it's very unique. A lot of different styles of music within the same song. There's on YouTube. There's a video. It's I found it on YouTube for the song. There's a video and it's really cool. It's a really cool video. So I would definitely check it out because it is a really neat video that goes along with the music of the song.
yeah, I will. I had just had the song on Spotify, so I wasn't aware of that. But I did know that there is the comic with it, so there probably is much more of a larger story going on. But I will check out the video. And then there was another band, 10 Forward, featuring Eleonora. The track was Gods for a Day. And it's the same musician who's in Weyland Ytani is also in 10 Forward. So it was interesting because I sort of expected it to be a similar song or a similar style. And this was much more of a hard rock song. I said it was something that I think I would see in like an 80s film, like maybe in Rocky IV, where where Rocky was training against Drago, or in Better Off Dead when Lane Meyer needed to practice to go down the K-12. So yeah, it was cool. And then there was some shredding and some electric keyboard. I felt like it was a jam. I was getting into it.
Yeah, classic hard rock throwback vibes, especially with the organ. And then the style of the guitar, the style of the playing of the guitar really reminded me of throwback hard rock music, like you're saying, from the 80s, or even earlier. So yeah, much different. It is much different of a song than the other one. So I guess being in these two different projects, and there's such different styles of music from each other, probably get to be a lot more creative.
Sure, I would say so. But yeah, definitely check out Weyland Ytani and 10 Forward. You can find their music, I know, on Spotify, probably a bunch of other places. Did I get that right? It is 10 Forward, right? Yes, 10 Forward featuring Eleonora. And then we were going to talk about metal songs that have been covered. And I remember there's a great show on YouTube that was from, I'll think of it in a second. I want to say it's like an offshoot of The Onion. Is that right? Hold on. You know what? Why don't you go first while I look this up, if that's okay?
Yeah. I picked Chemist, covering Down in a Hole by Alice in Chains. Chemist is like probably in the heavy metal category. Alice in Chains is they were more grunge, from the grunge era. They're not that far apart as far as genres are concerned, but this cover is so good, and I think it's one of the best covers out there, is, in my opinion. And they took an iconic song and they completely made it their own. I also picked All Them Witches, covering Voodoo Child by Jimi Hendrix. And I guess both of these would be in the rock category. So I think I kind of failed this assignment. But I'll be honest, I don't listen to a lot of music outside of the metal category. So the guitar tone on this song is absolutely amazing. It's a long song, but I think it's a really fabulous interpretation of Jimi Hendrix.
Well, first of all, as a former English teacher, allow me to say that it would be impossible to fail this class. Let's just say we're both auditing it, so it's all. And I've also heard the Chemist cover of Down in a Hole, and it's phenomenal. So yeah, no, I mean, really good. And it doesn't matter. Like, I went the other way with my choices in terms of finding, like more pop music oriented bands to do covers of metal. Whereas you sort of went metal bands to do covers of other songs, which is fun, which is great, because you and I are the yin yang of this show. You're the Jack Burton and I'm the Egg Shen. Whatever analogy you want to use.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, it's the Onion's AV Club. That was the show. So they would have a list of songs, and they'd invite musicians into the studio, and the musicians would pick a song and do a cover of it. So one of the songs was Mother by Danzig, and the group is called Wye Oak. And it's just guitar, and then I think the drummer only is playing the drums with one stick, and then with his other hand, I forgot what, he might be on keyboard or bass or something, but that's it. It's just two people playing three instruments. So it's a really interesting sound that they get. And in the video that I saw, when they do the cover, obviously it's much less distorted and much less angry. But they had a French horn or a tuba. I can't remember. It might have been a tuba. And it worked. You wouldn't think that it would work, but it worked really well. And then the last song was Tori Amos does a cover of Raining Blood by Slayer. And it's really slow, and it's just piano, and she has such a haunting delivery. And I remember reading that Tom Araya and Kerry King from Slayer found out that she did a cover of it, and they were so excited, and they listened to it, and they had trouble figuring out where she was in the song. Because Raining Blood is, it's probably like 4 minutes, but it's incredibly fast, and hers might be like 15. So they would both say like, no, I know where she is. She's at the chorus now. And they liked it so much they sent her merch. So she said she got like a box full of Slayer t-shirts and stuff like that, which I hope she wore, at her next show.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome, seeing her in a Slayer shirt. Yeah, I didn't even recognize it. Like when I listened to it, if I would have listened to it and I didn't know that was the song she was covering, I would never know it was the same song. Her interpretation of it is so completely different, and yeah, what she like deconstructed it is what she did. So yeah, pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, it's what's really great is how there can be crossovers between artists that you would never expect. That's actually how Anthrax and Public Enemy got together, and sort of broke through and merged, metal and rap. Because Scott Ian would wear a Public Enemy shirt on stage during his concerts, and Public Enemy saw that, so they name dropped Anthrax in one of their songs, and then they just became friendly. And Scott Ian and Charlie Benante were like, we've written a new version of one of your songs. Let's collaborate. And then that's sort of how it broke everything open. But Tori Amos covering Slayer, that's something I don't think anyone would have ever foreseen that, working in any stretch. But yeah, if you get the chance, you should check out definitely Chemist's cover of Down in a Hole, because it's really great. They don't necessarily reinvent the wheel like Tori Amos does with Slayer, but they knock it out of the park. It's definitely a home run. I haven't heard the Voodoo Child cover. I dropped so I failed. I dropped the ball this time, but I knew you would be presenting on that. So
yeah,
when I was teaching in Hong Kong, and they had group projects, the person who didn't do anything was lambasted as a free rider. And then you would get called this. So I was a free rider this episode. Heather did the heavy lifting.
Well, that's all right. I'll give you some homework and you can listen to it later.
Okay, cool. See? Yeah. The shoe is on the other foot now. But yeah, definitely check out Green Druid. Get both of their albums. Check out Weyland Ytani and 10 Forward featuring Eleonora. And as well, check out the music of Wyoke and obviously Slayer, Tori Amos. Is it all 7 Year Witches?
All Them Witches.
All that. See, yeah, don't listen to it. All Them Witches covering Voodoo Child. Check that out as well. I'm going to for homework, and and then
And I,
Kemet and down and
yeah,
on.
yeah. And I did make a playlist, and I put all of the songs that we talked about on a playlist. So you can listen to them all and then form your own opinions on how you think they sound.
Yeah, do that probably before you watch this episode. So for those of you, I'll maybe try to add a disclaimer when we post the episode, but if you've gotten this far, I commend you for just listening to us talk about music you may have never heard before. But go back, listen to it, and then come back so we can thank you for doing that, and probably sign off because we have discussed everything that was on the ledger.
Yes. Yes.
So thank you, Heather, as always, for being
Thank
the
you.
engine of the show. And we will see you next time.
Yes. See ya. Thank you. Bye.